Hello, species value nature system. Hello, Lasage. Here. Been doing the campus Marcius.com. Spelled with a C, not a T. See, Old English, they have the S sound with a T. Because English was broken to stay criminally obfuscated, defended, formally, the campus Marcius in semi-ancient times. This just reminds. And that was to have that defended, knowing that branches of each modern nation, would be live progression cover-up natures, incapable of handling correlation in nature's means. So, THE, the campus, CAMPUS, MARCIUS.com, the campusmarcius.com. All the other sites I have coming too. And then when it gets going, faster it gets going, the faster the Burrow book start. The Burroughs book and the Hartford Nook. You know how long I haven't trained? I'm getting so out of shape because I need to report. Since I was a kid, I caught these people each year at my schools. That all connected too to CCSU, interbranch corruption, state judicial branch offices, recorded and confessed with crimes with police intercity, with a Faenza family, state judicial branch officers, recorded and confessed by a number of people with crimes with what are their names? Near the state judicial, near the state prison office building on Franklin Avenue. The other side of that is Wethersfield. They have it weird like that. It's not like flat. And one side is, but he's also involved. There's also Dave on there, where I don't know his name. I have a picture of him in my yearbook. Associated with criminal justice corruption, associated with military corruption. My back is killing me too because I've been working on this thing nonstop. So the campusmarcius.com. That's not a little rap guy. The salesperson on that website that just looks like him. It's his twin brother from whoever made the computer program. So we'll see if he can sell. We'll see if he can. So anyways, my posts are being messed up on YouTube. For example, don't block me just for mentioning, you guys aren't letting free speech. You guys have physical delusions and criminal uses of you by the same child predators. They just arrested a principal sex offender. They're more interbranch actors, even women, recorded with sex crime acts and roles with the kids, not their own. Per a crime method with their friends confessed and themselves confessed roles with drug crimes, formal overt gangland drugs with the kids through time, which raised them as evidence fabrication natures from my town associated with courts through time, with database illusion stacking, with detectives have to pretend things are recorded that aren't, retired and standing with the sex offender groups in my area tied to the police station, tied to the town offices. Chris Walters called me up and recorded to confess as an adult. So they raised him from a kid to adult, him and his brothers, his sister and mother, as little, only context I know him and recorded him seeking me out to make confessions tied to what is an organized crime use of them per his roles with the sex crime cliques, with the sex offenders cliques, tied to the courts, tied to the campuses, intercity through time. Chris Walters sought me out with others to confess and record ties to crimes with people tied to car dealerships, and then stealing cars, and then with the police with them, and with courts, and with prison cliques, and with intercampus, like CCSU has a whole bunch of recorded and confessed criminal uses of their databases, of their fact treatment natures. Per on-off campuses, investigators recorded tied to them and other campuses in each age of campus in conjunction with and as a crime method. Database illusion is stacking against kids since I was in grammar school, with cliques that evolved and recorded and confessed that they have Sammy Vega involved with the CCSU end of the principal sex offender, the worst recorded still and confessed, tied to the school still and to other schools. Dr. Graham recorded and confessed with crimes with judges with a middle school and with police formers with the middle school and with doctors with middle school, with drugs overt and unrealized, and with detectives with that, with the gangs and stuff like that. Hartford, Connecticut, Wethersfield, Connecticut have known juxtaposed internation criminal enterprises overt, juxtaposed with unrealized, uncharged original ones. Since before our founders, internation, specifically what they use color for with the law, to keep each person not capable of doing anything but blaming on other and on others and on themselves, cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures like wrongdoers, like criminal insidiousness natures, acts like predicate acts associated with criminal enterprises, mistreatments of sanctions of what really we need to do in relationship to all these contracts, mistreatments of really what can be measured, mistreatments really of the integrity and of the stability of markets, of forced shared positions policed unequally, from tactically unequally. My back is like, you ever have tactically unequally, something distinctly and non-distinctly tactically denatured relationship to nature, each modern nation. They did this first to the Native Americans. That's what divided them. They had no choice because they were put forced to another tactically ulterior spaces, value nature system, and with it as laws that specifically forced and induced hyper-enforced fact treatment rackets, like with color. In other words, defenses of that, to keep everyone blaming the other and other per the crime breaching method is an organized crime method. Tactically denatured our relationship to nature. Tactically forced laws that forced internation monitored database relationships before there were computers. These people had to hold these positions of slaves. Our founders were fact treatment nature slaves. You got to be, divide and conquer is what pretends they don't realize that, and they're still teaching, because each job is maintained, engineered to be in nature reliant upon experts of types of crimes, natures of crimes, per a method that did that, building line progression, cover up natures that need to pretend titles were valued that they're not, because they can't defend themselves from correlation nature, can see right through crooked courts, originally still crooked media. They pretended, recording, even threatening and demonstrating that they pretend it's personal if you say that. They know they're not science, but that was how they were trained to a job, to rely on other people's voices. One woman, a newscaster, said, "We're just talking heads." She's the only one who even came close to saying it. Lisa Ling, the only one who even came close to saying the interbranch corruption is involved, confessed and recorded. Crime methods off the records because they're criminally foreign influence with the treatments of the woman. She didn't say that, but what she showed was that they're blaming things on money. See, that's where the math is what I'm talking about. A value nature system, tactical. In other words, it didn't reach out to everyone because it's sick. It was built that way. They forced this before our founders were born. The pathology of the house is built if you even discussed building any other, just like the whole world fell into this trap with the houses, before they even had cars, they designed this junk. Tactically denatured relationship to nature. Tactically denatured soils. All the life to the soils, living organisms, stuff like that. Not just worms, but the worms go too. Back in the day, used to be more worms come out of the ground. Every year, pack down, pack down, pack down. Put more stuff on there. Boom, boom. Everyone's in, you know. CampusMarcius.com. The CampusMarcius.com. THECampus MARCIUS. See, Campus Marcius with the T, they tactically, consciously wrote that then and now because they need to hide justifications of the law, justifications of agencies that you can't defend and tell our American history at the same time because they failed to. Organized crime, this is a breaching method. I'm not a police force, I'm not a criminal. So we're going to talk about predicate acts, criminal enterprises. We're going to talk about criminal insidious natures like wrongdoers, which is behind really what was the motivations for them hiding recorded worse since before that I tried to report. And they lied to hide the police with the rape threats, and because it was inter-branch police with the rape threats. Plus they had been taken with on-off CCSU campuses with more than a handful of towns, police associated. See the hypertension with trying to defend campuses now at the same time with the shootings going on for them because they're using a crime method. CCSU, it's recorded. I just went there to go mandated law, my obligations per women and students and men record. Kyle Gill, since he was a kid, I didn't even know him. He was directed to make confessions about his being child abused. Per Rick Fayon, the only context I knew him with, he took me there to show me that after he graduated one time, because he was making confessions about a scuba shack, a Brian Silver, and a Lethe family. I never had a conversation with Brian Silver in my life. Never had a conversation with Lethe family in my life. He also made confessions about his crime roles with the courts with John Miano. Also recorded and confessed associated with Christine. Fake news, fake bullshit, fake both sides of news, because then they steal your voice. They attach me to fake words with the news and in cases where they admitted to me and to others that they were handed a whole bunch of different police reports from different departments and from campus police. They were all with made up things. Had me in fake locations. Had me in fake. There's a detective, Samudo, even pretended I had a conversation with him and pretended I was in a hospital that he worked at in Hartford. I don't know what the name of it. I think the other one, not Hartford Hospital. Then Hartford Hospital too, recorded and confessed with drug clicks, evidence fabrication natures, with crimes from the past tied to their crimes with New Britain Superior Court evidence, rape threats. And then they hid that by stacking the police reports. The police confessed that Scalora and others, and he demonstrated, because I don't know him, Scalora is criminally involved. Claudius Scalora is criminally involved. Also, worse than interstate stuff, and with the Trade Center attack context, proven sequence shift from inside the Ninth Circuit in Manhattan, which led to a 2006 case in a Connecticut court. Same federal criminals tied to those law, uncharged, but still. Then there's a Claudius Scalora recorded and confessed with crimes with a Joshua Julian with the child sex offenders clique. that I never met in my life. I never had a conversation in my life. He said he saw me when I walked by. I went like 2 wrestling classes. Also recorded and confessed, involved with the cliques, criminal with the courts. Like a Joe Aiello, also recorded and confessed with crimes with male crimes. They're hiding all the names though. They're not letting me get the name of the leasing agent, his son. Also because they have recorded and confessed crime rolls with his son, with Nordstrom's, and with the Scalora family. All kinds of police, foreign and domestic, overt, gangland drugs, witch religions type thing, tied to like a telephone game and stuff like that. Also confessed and recorded tied to people with medical corruption tied to courts. Then database illusion stacking. Also judges and police forms tied with East Hartford. What's the place called? The alternatives to jail. It's called the I don't know what it's called. Some kind of thing. And but there's a Darren also recorded and confessed involved. He doesn't understand the extent of it, but just for his needs to cover up live progressions for judges criminally involved, switching names, with the principal sex offender just sentenced, torturing the family members, doctors in a Lethe family, writing disgusting things in databases because then you can't talk about it. Then because they grew up with the drug cliques and with the child offenders, with the courts, with evidence crimes, directed to pretend delusions with evidence reception bodies, make things pretend they're about, make people pretend they had relationships with other they weren't, make pretend there's little kids' problems that they started and weren't. You know what I mean? Because they all tied. Like with the Cololo family, also a Phil Cololo, a Bob Chase also recorded and confessed, involved with his rules crimes, not letting me read the police report, but telling me he's on it. That's a person who pretended he knew me through time. With the Scalora also, that the neighbor said was a relative of his. I don't know, this Claudia Scalora, I'm assuming is related to him because the more years ago I said that too. And I only know him from him seeking me out once in a while for confessions, recorded time, all kinds of ways to federal crimes. His roles with criminals with the campuses, with his families, intercampuses. And with Paul Manafort Drive is right next to the CCSU. This is inseparable from that because the courts were recorded with crime rolls since I was a kid were there. They have like abused strippers that live right offside campus with like hookers type stuff tied to Chris Walters. Also recorded and confessed tied to Old Town Cafe and to a Bose family. I never had anything to do with Charlie Bose in my life. Never had a class with him. Also recorded and confessed involved with police with on-off campus Trinity College, on-off campus CCSU, on-off campus other campuses in Connecticut, criminally involved, and even in Rhode Island too. Paul Zano, recorded and confessed by his friends, by himself. I never had anything to do with him except for his. That one time I went. Only time I did anything with him was specifically for them to record illusions in Rhode Island because they had ties. Now I never went to Rhode Island with a Rick Champion too, but he was there was something he said about that, Rhode Island with a bomb, because they were directing bombs to be made and stuff like that. Through the kids, we're with the people they're making as police, they're setting up other kids. They're trying, worse than that because they have live progression cover-up natures they need to hide. They have no integrity, so they have to pretend that they believe courts should be real fast, quick, naive reactions. And are real delayed, stacking federal crimes and actors to roles with it for the facilitation of this by a breaching organized crime method. So each branch can only understand through their needs to cover up lie progressions and for their needs to hide from correlation nature's ability to discern their actual value nature as criminal insidious nature that can't be legalized as ill bodies of fact treatment nature. Men and women with sex crime roles. That's why through time I couldn't believe when I heard people weren't allowed to report sexual abuses, harassment of little kids, the youngest ones. Prepare the drums. So the media also fake both sides of news, and that's inseparable from their, because it was his intercity sex crime acts from other on-off campuses of the same age and of different ages, connected by policing that is also tied to all these topics. Was inseparable from Manafort because they were involved with sicker crimes than they're blaming him for with other nations here, with Russian families. That Justin Kavinsky implied that a Peruta family with others involved with his roles, recorded and confessed with federal crimes with military police and foreign and domestic military associated with Normandy Heights, and with his wife he recorded and confessed involved with evidence crimes roles with them, with database illusion drug crime roles with them, witness fabrication crime roles with child sex offenders tied to them in this clique, and their crime roles with courts, drug cliques. And Rick Sanfaiano also made a confession about Justin Gavinskas putting a hook in his nose, and that had affected him to make a confession to me about a Lethe family, but I didn't know. The only reason I knew who Justin Gavinskas was is because once in a while he would show up with as one of my neighbor's friends, which he moved into a house of an old police chief girlfriend's house. Him and his sister and his family. And his extended families were the ones that have been pretending to know me through time. And, one didn't even go to my school. One I never even saw in school. Phil Claw. The only time I saw him at the end of school, he was given a gold watch, and it was like timed when they gave it to him, because when there was to give the impression that I knew him to the principal. See, this person has been doing this through time because he's recorded and confessed with two Mendez brothers, recorded and confessed as detectives with crimes, pretending things are recorded to hide their crimes with the police on Facebook, even recorded. Then they hid that with sequence shifts in court and with evidence crimes in court. They put me in jail for 6 months on a charge with this huge bond for trying to report sexual abuse of the youngest kids. And they know it's recorded. And they know that they were recorded with older kids not abused on off campus with CCSU, tied to their roles with criminal justice on off campuses, tied to their roles with a Judd family, a Dean Judd, his family, recorded and confessed involved with identity crimes with them, switching crimes, and with drug crimes with them, and with that, per their motives, with evidence rackets, with harassment of women and stuff like that. Real punk degenerates with guns and weapons and stuff like that. They can't talk though. So why do they keep sending them to people's houses? As harassment with and as people that know that they are furthering sex crime roles, rape threats, even against me, not just against the kids to me. And I'm not going to talk about them I'm going to talk about the people who attach me to fake conversations with them. like a Christine Bedard. She's recorded and confessed, tied to the degenerates, like a Miano family. Recorded and confessed. I had tried to call the police on them. I had to tell my mother to call the police without telling her why, because it was attached to her criminality with clients from real estate, who were my previous neighbor's extended family, involved with a house over there through time involved, but now like a young girl there involved. I don't know what's her narrative, but they have her involved with a crime method where they're making one person make partial confessions, other person makes a demonstration of their involvements with it. Which is it was untimely death in that house 2 years ago. But that's not the one I'm talking about. The one with the clique that was one untimely death on Trinity College. They attached me to all fake conversations and relationships to Trinity College too, because they did a trick against Ogden too. Hugh Ogden pretended he died. See, this was after also Dr. Shu, also recorded and confessed, involved with crimes with, he's a doctor of modern languages, involved with people from like, who are allies on paper in relationship to physical positions of groups like ISIS. But see, that was how, just like overt internation, like mafia gangs, and internation like, Irish police ones, like a Jim Deedy, like a little creepy guy, little evidence fabrication natures, internation, specifically what color was used for with the law, to keep divide and conquer the value of our fact treatment nature, incapable of describing the space maintaining tactically pseudo-educated sciences, so premise treatments, organized crime method. So we have to treat that. So it was also recorded how the women with stripping and with the prostitution are pretending that they have free speech and they don't care, they'll say anything, but they're coerced that way because they are incapable of defending themselves from states and areas maintained to collusion with what it was is internation, facilitated all fake sides, needed to cover up lie progressions, styles, to hide that offensively, to enhance the value of all areas. Our founder wanted